PFAS is global and it's around the world. And there's been studies, it's in human blood. So they're saying, why are you alarmed? Why are you alarming people about this?
I'm very concerned with the contamination in this water and knowing that it's in the plumes underground. You know, people cook, they bathe, they drink the water. We rely on water.
I'm out here today to show what this contamination from Wurtsmith Air Force Base has done to our community, and how what they did decades ago is now affecting our surface waters to the point that the chemicals are actually reinstituting themselves in their original form when they were made 40 years ago. PFAS builds up quite heavily. So it's real high concentrations along here.
Perfluorinated and polyfluorinated substances were found in 2017 by a group of high school students conducting tests along the Van Etten Lake shoreline. PFAS are a group of man-made toxins found in consumer products and firefighting foam such as AFFF. The U.S. manufactured PFAS for many uses, including products sold to airports and military bases across the country since the 1940s. PFAS are not only contaminating surface waters, it's in the groundwater, infiltrating drinking water wells. And beneath the surface, PFAS carries adverse health effects that are tied to immune system deficiencies, certain cancers, reproductive problems in women, hormone imbalance, and stunted growth in children. Could this be the second coming of the Flint Water Crisis on a national scale?
I first learned about it, I think, December of 15. And then did some additional research, reading through old, or I guess the most current EPA findings that I could obtain. And what I read was very alarming.
State Representative Sue Aller and several other community leaders tackling the issue of PFAS in Northeast Michigan left the state capitol to travel along the shoreline of Van Etten Lake to understand how PFAS began to interrupt the water systems of Oscoda Township.
I think the largest health study that was done to date was done a number of years ago. It's referred to as the C8 health study, and that studied 79,000 people out in West Virginia, Ohio area. So there are a lot of diseases, illnesses that were explored as part of that C8 study, and reading through that report, they've analyzed a lot of people, and they've come up with nothing definitive, but issues that are definitely worthwhile looking into further as far as health consequences.
Aaron Weed is the Oscoda Township supervisor, and he's been keeping tabs on recent developments and any action to clean up the shoreline.
The lake here, which is the west side, is where the contamination's coming in from the Air Force Base. Then it contaminates this ground, or the surface water here, and then this whole side of the lake has the same contamination, it's the same signature as the firefighting foam that the military used. The Air Force is the only one who's discharged AFFF in this area, and that AFFF has a unique signature to it. I believe they actually traced it down to a 3M formula. So that's how they can tell that it's attributed to military operations, is because it matches exactly what they were doing.
1,300 acres of water across the Wurtsmith Air Force Base becomes the center of focus. The U.S. military operated Wurtsmith between 1923 until the federal government decommissioned the air base in the early 90s. The community have questioned the military's involvement in clearing up the mess, and as far as they know, the Air Force hasn't taken an active role in rectifying the problem. This is District Health Officer Denise Bryan.
And the DEQ then identified that the concern was for the drinking water, and they wanted to test wells in a neighborhood that had about 24 families in it. And I said that seemed like worthwhile data to collect since there was no other research in this area on the effects of PFAS. And at that time, Michigan did not have a rule, any compiled law that would guide me to act one way or the other.
Matt Mars works for the Air Force Civil Engineer Center and is one of the environmental coordinators for the Wordsmith project. Since Mars is stationed in another state at the moment, we weren't able to talk in person. What you'll hear next are snippets of Mars' phone interview where he provided a timeline of events.
It goes back to in the 2010 through 2012, that's when the MDQ sampled the fish tissue from the Oscoda River. Leading on from that point forward, in 2015, 2016, the Air Force initiated a drinking water well survey and went through sampling a lot of the wells. There was about 54 that were evaluated at that point. And then in the 17-18 time frame, the site inspection confirmed groundwater had been affected above the HA for PFOA and PFAS at 13 different areas there at Wordsmith. And that's what right now the Air Force is doing, supplemental site inspections at these 13 areas to evaluate the PFOA PFAS exposure pathway.
The Michigan Department of Environmental Quality confirmed 31 PFAS sites across the state. Oscoda Township makes up a majority of contaminated groundwater in Oscoda County. The highest concentration levels are found in Oscoda County and Kent County. And as the problem continues to bubble statewide, the foam will continue rising.
When the wind is blowing hard and that foam flows downstream, it'll all build up around this dam here.
PFAS compounds don't break down in the environment. It's a forever chemical. The CDC says PFAS with long carbon chains have estimated half-lives of at least 2 to 9 years in the human body.
And we all watched what happened to Flint when there's inaction and ability to look scientifically at what's going on. So I issued the health advisory because I felt it was important we study this issue. And it was fairly controversial in the beginning because PFAS is global and it's around the world. And there's been studies, it's in human blood. So they're saying, why are you alarmed? Why are you alarming people about this?
We've got a lot of work to do in the future. And working with Denise Bryan, the health department, various other members who are involved in this, Aaron Weed, trying to get the water system into this area. Those are all things that we're doing to try and mitigate, but it's going to be a long road in front of us.
The Environmental Protection Agency sent forth a health advisory stating 70 parts per trillion provides a safe margin of protection when certain chemicals in the PFAS family are found in drinking water.
So a lot of these homes test below 70 parts per trillion. A couple of them are above 70 parts per trillion. But that's only PFOA and PFAS molecules. We actually have PFHXS, which is a component of AFFF, and that is higher levels. So while a home may test at 30 parts per trillion PFOA and PFAS, their PFHXS could be at 1,100 parts per trillion.
What does that mean?
That means that they still have high levels of PFAS, but just because the other molecules aren't regulated doesn't mean there isn't a health hazard to the people drinking that water. Right now we're going down North Rose Lane. This is an area that's affected by the groundwater contamination from the base. They get their water from a well system. And we need to get them on municipal water so they can get clean water.
And this is expected to be done soon for this group.
Yeah, this should be done by the end of October.
Okay.
There needs to be new distribution lines.
Yeah.
His old system won't accommodate the municipal water. All this groundwater here is contaminated. So the USDA grant's going to fund a main line to go all the way down this road, and then it's going to fund a short main to come up into the Whispering Woods. Then with the $325,000 that you were able to secure for us, that's going to get these main lines connected with service lines into each one of these homes.
The first health advisory issued on PFAS in the state of Michigan started here, with the 24 families that call this neighborhood home.
And that health advisory urged residents to seek an alternative water source. And within a few weeks, we were able to offer them jugs for getting municipal water.
The smell coming from here is disgusting. This is it.
This is it. It's not a PFAS smell.
No, this is like a
This is the
oil.
benzene TCE contamination mixed with PFAS.
Wow.
Three or 4 years ago, the Air Force said, Air Force, you no longer need to treat for volatile chemicals, but continue to pump the water. None of this is storm drain water. This is all coming out of the groundwater through the Air Force system.
So this is disgusting.
And the Air Force wants us to pay for the maintenance on this line, even though it really only serves an Air Force purpose.
This pipe has been pumping out gallons of water each day for at least 30 years.
They're on well water, they're on well water. This has TCE, benzene, and chlorinated cleaners in it.
And you estimate that this water that's going in takes approximately 12 hours before it hits Lake Huron.
Correct.
And then I asked Mars this next question about 5 times before receiving a clear answer. I'm curious to know if any of that water is contaminated. You're saying, yeah, that's discharge, but is that discharge going in with contaminated water from the base? Is all of it filtered? That part isn't clear to me if all or some of the water is being filtered through that pipe.
It's just pumping the water and discharge. Yeah, you know, that was one of the arguments is why don't we just shut the pumping down until we get the new system up in place. But it was determined that it was better to just keep it pumping like this to try to control the plume migration and sort of keep it, you know, contained more than just shutting the system totally down.
I was in the Air Force, and that's not the Air Force I was in. The Air Force I was in was about integrity and doing what needed to be done to accomplish the right thing. This side of the Air Force I've been seeing here has been about negligence and avoidance. To me, it's intentional harming of the people they were sworn to protect.
This is my dream home, me and my wife's dream home, no doubt about it. Who's going to want to sit in this stuff that's contaminated?
Not far from that nearby pipe is the residence of Timothy and Nita Wise.
Hello, pleased to meet you.
And then Mr. Dave Schaefer, our new superintendent.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I have these filters here. I don't know if you've seen one before, but
Oh, okay.
okay, so it has to go through all those filters there. Mm-hmm. That'll run for maybe 4 minutes
Okay.
or 5 minutes, and then that's it. You don't have any water for a while. So it's a big inconvenience just having that.
Yeah, and it's just on this faucet, just the drinking water
Right.
faucet.
Right.
Right.
service.
It's the only thing we can use for our coffee or, you know, tea or anything here.
The Wise family bought their home several years ago, but now they feel like the place that's supposed to provide a comfortable environment has sickened them.
So for 3 of those years, you were drinking the water right out of there.
Yep.
Okay.
You know, we're bathing in it. We're washing our dishes in it. You know, your skin absorbs things. You can't sell a house on this lake. right now. Who would buy on it?
Now, do you know of houses that have been for sale
Yes.
for a long time and they're just not selling?
Oh, yeah. I mean, just across from us over here, he's been for sale. I'll tell you, I mean, I know for all of 6 years, 5
Really?
or 6 years, sure. And then there's another one across over here that's been for sale. Couldn't sell it if I wanted to.
Michigan adopted 70 parts per trillion as an acceptable level of exposure to PFAS. But is 70 itself even a safe level?
We are waiting for the toxicologists and the scientists with the MPART, the governor's task force, to make recommendations in the next couple weeks as to what they feel is an acceptable amount of exposure. And key to exposure is drinking and consuming. The toxicologist always says what's down the hatch.
These plumes are underground, and it's a matter of monitoring to find out where are these plumes moving, how far are they moving. This may be something that's ongoing for many, many years. Plume is an underground water system.
Will Oscoda rise from their water problem?
There is no 10 years from now. We're already behind. Every person deserves safe, quality drinking water. And if we think there's something that's interfering with that right, then the government, the public service individuals must take action.
This is something that I want to take back to Lansing. As far as what I'm seeing here today, I want to take it to the people in DC, let them know what I saw here today.
You take it farther up, that's all there's to it.
Right.
That's the only way we're going to get satisfaction, because these people are going to continue to roll the way they are. And so we need to make a change.
And you know, the Air Force response has not ever changed. The Air Force is aligned with the public in its commitment to protect human health and the environment. But as we go along with that, it is always to be stated, if we've overlooked a regulatory or legal obligation to act on the issues, then please provide us with a citation for the obligation.
Scientists don't know how to eliminate or cost-effectively remove PFAS from the water systems. For now, there's just more waiting until state legislatures figure out the next move.